What if I told you that Meghan Markle and Prince Harry, the world's most talked about royal rebels, could be on the verge of facing real legal consequences? And not from palisades or angry tabloids, but from actual financial watchdogs and government agencies. This isn't just another headline or speculative gossip. There are now credible whispers growing louder in both the US and the UK. Whispers that suggest federal investigations into the couple's complex finances may already be underway. The lifestyle they portray is undeniably glamorous. But the bigger question is, how are they affording it? And more importantly, is everything behind the scenes as legitimate as it appears on the surface? For a while, most people just accepted the fairy tale version. The royal-turned-Hollywood duo making it on their own post-palace life. But now that story is being questioned more openly than ever before, in back-alley gossip forums or hidden podcast rants, but in boardrooms, financial circles, and mainstream media conversations. The question on everyone's lips is simple but serious. How exactly are Meghan and Harry making all this money? Because if you go by their words alone, it doesn't quite add up. Remember their bombshell Oprah interview? Harry made it very clear. They were cut off. Meghan added that she was left scrambling to rebuild from scratch, even reaching out to her old connections for help. That narrative painted them as underdogs bravely forging a new path outside the royal machine. But if they were financially abandoned, how did they manage to bounce back so quickly and so extravagantly? We're talking about a couple who in just months transitioned from being supposedly cash-strapped to signing massive Netflix and Spotify deals, securing multi-million-dollar book contracts, launching their own ventures, and living in a California mansion worth tens of millions. They travel by private jet, where designer labels fresh off production lines employ full-time security that reportedly costs millions a year. That's not just comfortable living, that's top-tier celebrity wealth. And while it's true that fame can be monetized, the speed and scale of their financial rise has raised more than just eyebrows, it's raised red flags. And now, it's not just armchair critics noticing. According to multiple sources, both UK and US financial authorities are starting to quietly review the Sussexes' financial dealings. Not because they're famous, not because they're controversial, but because the numbers don't quite make sense. This isn't about jealousy or press feuds anymore, it's about legality. Investigators are reportedly looking into how money is being moved, where it's being declared, and whether any shell companies, offshore accounts, or complex tax structures are involved. When real financial watchdogs step in, they don't just skim the surface. They dig deep, following paper trails, checking legal documents, and asking who's behind the curtain. Part of what makes this all so controversial is that Meghan and Harry have built their public brand on being victims of the crown, the media, tradition, and systemic injustice. From Harry's explosive memoir to Meghan's high-profile interviews, every piece of content they've produced leans into that narrative of struggle and survival. And the world responded. Book sales soared, streams hit the roof. But when your entire brand is based on being hurt and you profit from telling that story, eventually people begin to question who's really being exploited. Are Meghan and Harry the victims? Or are they turning pain into product? That question gets even more complicated when you factor in charity. Several foundations and philanthropic ventures are associated with the couple, and now those too are reportedly being reviewed. Not because they've been proven guilty of wrongdoing, but because when high-profile figures mix emotional causes with profitable ventures, regulators take notice. Are the donations going where they're supposed to? Are any funds being diverted into for-profit entities? Are there overlaps in the people managing both? These are the questions financial agencies are asking now. And if any money meant for good ends up lining pockets instead, it could trigger far more than just bad press. And let's not forget the financial machinery running behind the scenes. Sources suggest Meghan and Harry might be advised by highly skilled financial operators who specialize in structuring deals, moving money discreetly, and finding legal gray areas. if that's the case, then the Sussex brand may be more calculated than the public realizes. Because financial sleight of hand doesn't happen by accident. It takes planning. It takes structure. It takes layers. And if any of those layers are hiding illicit activity, intentionally or not, the responsibility ultimately lands on the faces at the front of the brand. In recent months, Meghan's ambitions have gone into overdrive. She's teased lifestyle brands, a potential cooking show, wellness products, makeup lines, and even rumored partnerships with luxury fashion houses. It's like she's trying to launch a dozen businesses at once. Now, ambition in itself isn't wrong, but when someone expands too fast, without a strong foundation, it makes investors and regulators nervous. There are reports that some brands have quietly backed away from deals with the Sussexes, fearful of reputational risk. In the world of high-stakes celebrity branding, when the spotlight shifts from glamour to scandal, even your biggest supporters start to pull back. Meanwhile, Harry's image has gone through its own transformation, not in a good way. Once viewed as the open-hearted, emotionally raw prince, he's now seen by some as opportunistic, contradictory, and even bitter. The timelines in his memoir have been questioned. Claims he made have been challenged. And perhaps most tellingly, his own family has refused to publicly defend or acknowledge many of his statements. Here's the hard truth. If financial regulators find anything that even resembles intentional misrepresentation, tax avoidance, or misuse of charitable funds, this won't be something a PR team can fix. Legal experts warn that the Sussexes could face subpoenas, depositions, audits, and if the evidence is strong enough, possibly even criminal charges. Because once investigators start peeling back the layers, they don't stop at the first contradiction. They follow the money until it makes sense or until someone's forced to explain why it doesn't. What's most striking about all of this isn't just the possible legal fallout. It's the fact that the very thing Meghan and Harry have built their empire on might be what brings it down. The public perception turns from admiration to suspicion. Their brand doesn't just suffer, it collapses. Because you can't sell integrity if your bank accounts tell a different story. And that's what this all comes down to. Not just fame, not just money, but trust. And right now, trust in the Sussexes is wearing thin. So now we have to ask, what is the end game here? Are Meghan and Harry truly trying to build a legacy outside the royal system? Or are they simply scrambling to maintain relevance at any cost? Or worse, are they trying to outrun a financial mess that's finally catching up to them? Behind closed doors, insiders say legal teams are preparing for every possible outcome. Tax audits, public disclosures, and if it comes to it, even criminal defense. Because when the cameras shut off, the headlines fade, and the editors can't shape the story. Only one thing will matter: the paper trail. And paper trails, they don't lie. Thanks for watching. If you found this video eye-opening, hit that like button, subscribe for more updates, and drop a comment below. You think this is just another media storm, or is something much bigger about to break?